Well, it is all the rage on social media right now. The story of Brittany Maynard. She made the choice to get married. She made the choice to travel the world. And now the 29-year-old wants to control her own death. It's something she explains in a YouTube video that's gone viral over the past few days. And everybody's talking about this. It's got more than 5 million views. Brittany, you see, has stage 4 brain cancer and is determined to die with dignity.
I can't even tell you the amount of relief that it provides me to know that I don't have to die the way that it's been described to me that my brain tumor would take me on its own.
Death with dignity allows for people who are in the facing a lot of suffering that they can decide when enough is enough.
You know, it's really a heartbreaking story on so many levels. It's extremely controversial and one that certainly raises a lot of questions. So we want to talk about that this morning. To shed some light on this topic, attorney Jonathan Frutkin is here to tell us all about it. Only a few states have this death with dignity law. Arizona, not one of them, right?
That's right. Arizona's not one. The handful of states that actually have a law in place are Washington, Oregon, and Vermont, and then a couple other states
are looking at it.
Yeah, they have courts where they've said, in effect, judges have ruled that the law is in effect there.
You know, people all the time, whether they're healthy or not, old or young, say, you know, if I ever get in that position, just don't keep me alive. I don't want to suffer. So why do states care what individuals do if they're in that position?
Well, it's a hard question. I mean, it really comes from a baseline where you don't want people killing other people. And this goes back to kind of the Jack Kevorkian experience, where Jack Kevorkian was helping people die by pushing the button himself. Here we're talking about doctors under certain circumstances being able to prescribe drugs and then the patient actually taking them themselves.
So you have some stats on why people do this. Is it all about suffering, or is it much more than that?
So the first thing that's interesting, Washington and Oregon, by their law, require statistics be kept. Both states had less than 200 people take advantage of the death with dignity law last year. And what's interesting is that this is kind of a little bit of an anomaly. Most of the people are older. The average age is nearly 70 years old. Okay. But what's also interesting is that people are highly educated that are taking advantage of the law, and almost all of them have health insurance. The other thing that they asked about is why. And I think a lot of us think that the pain is the reason why. And only a third of the respondents said that. Nearly all of them said the reason was because they were their autonomy, they're losing their dignity, and they're losing their ability to enjoy things in their life at all.
Well, this woman, I mean, she's 29, so clearly young, attractive, smart, and she says she's going to take her life coming up here in just a couple of weeks, I think. It just hits home with a lot of people.
It really does. You know, we've all had experiences where we've had younger people suffer through this sort of thing. And quite frankly, the use of social media in things like this sometimes make a large social change. I think that's her point, and I think that's why we're talking about it and people are talking about it across the country today.
You know, not to get on other topics, but gay marriage and marijuana, I mean, all those things are kind of similar where one state does it and then others do it. And social media is a huge factor in all of that.
It really is. If you look at the history of social change, it was always really slow. Once television was around, you saw things, especially in the black community in the 60s with the fire hoses and the dogs, and that really moved the needle there. But it still took a while. Now with social media, things happen real quickly, and that's obviously good when we have social changes that we...
So what's going on here with Arizona? Where do you predict it will go?
Well, I suspect that it'll be like a lot of states. Massachusetts, for example, had a ballot measure in 2012, which was defeated narrowly. And I suspect that Arizona is the type of state where if you see this, it will most likely be something that's on the ballot, a lot like medical marijuana was dealt with. It's not something that our legislature has historically taken the kind of reins on.
And by the way, you have to live in that state. You couldn't travel there, get a prescription, and then come back here, right?
Right. In Brittany Maynard's case, she actually lived in California, had to reestablish residency, including getting an apartment, getting a driver's license. So it's not the sort of thing where you can just pop in, grab your pill, and go home.
Well, it sure is an interesting subject. And Jonathan, we appreciate you coming by to chat about it this morning. We'll see where it goes in the future.